My name is Cem A. I'm an artist and a curator. People mostly know me for running the Instagram meme account called Freeze Magazine. The Freeze Magazine account is a meme page I started back in 2019. A meme can be described as an image and text composition that spreads through the internet. They are usually humorous and ironic in nature. I'm mainly interested in just looking at the art community from a critical lens. You could say that it's a mixture of art making and art criticism. We're dealing with issues in the art world, art news, broader news, or exhibitions artists. For example, I did this meme around the time that there were these climate protests in museums, and people were kind of building on this idea that these protesters were destroying artworks, which they weren't doing. But what was ironic about that is there are artists who are known for destroying artworks. And one of them is Robert Rauschenberg's erased iconic drawing, which is such an important piece in contemporary art history. And I thought it was a good comparison to make that match. I prefer to stay semi-anonymous, and this had different reasons. At first, it was just about not needing to announce who I was. And now, since the account grew bigger, it's more about keeping my privacy. I think there is a lack of directness in the art world when it comes to criticism, that it feels like it is difficult to directly engage with something that you don't agree with without offending the other people. And I think memes kind of create a space where you can do this more humorously, or people can use other people's memes to give a message themselves, so they can use it as a vehicle for their own criticism without saying that directly. So I think in that way it is kind of covering different bases and different gaps in the art world. For me, what is important about making memes is to mimic existing aesthetic structures, different images and visuals, and insert themselves into that. One of my favorites is this image of Marina Abramovic from her The Artist is Present project in MoMA, because I think this is sort of like an art world specific meme, and I kind of revisit it quite often because I think it has a lot of meme potential. And again, it's sort of like built on the idea of Marina Abramovic as an artist and like how established she is and the familiarity people have with that. Another one is this meme about separating the art from the artist. There are some phrases that are used quite often in the art world that I kind of feel like have mimetic qualities, and I think separating the art from the artist is like one of those, that there is no clear answer, and like what this means or like what this might result in is sort of like a continuous debate, but the phrase continues to live. So I made a meme just kind of that is utilizing that, and it's showing two surgeons who are like just lying on the floor trying to separate the art from the artist. People sort of perceive art memes as something that exists in isolation, but if an argument needs to be made, I think there are plenty of art movements and artists that could be seen in relation to memes. I guess, first of all, institutional critique and artists who dealt with that. Even though I don't actually believe that memes should be categorized as institutional critique, I think it is definitely in the same lane, but I think it deserves to have its own name. So I see it as an intersection of both art making and art criticism. When we talk about memes, we usually refer to internet memes. but memes has a much longer history. Duchamp, he was basically creating the meme template himself in how he deals with ready-made and how he spent so much time communicating his work, contextualizing his work, kind of turned them into memes. The Fountain by Duchamp, I made so many variations of that too that I called it the first art meme ever. The same could be said about more contemporary artists like Mauricio Catalan with his Taped Banana, for instance, but I think that like a more recent example of using these kind of techniques, putting the power of the artwork in how it's circulated. And in that way, you could also trace it back to the Roman Empire. There's a big tradition of graffiti, which is also built on the idea of leaving messages that are supposed to spread and seen in social spaces. So in that way, I kind of try to adapt to that, especially when it comes to making site-specific installations. At Louisiana Museum, I did a site-specific installation that replaces the old exhibition posters hung in the museum's cafe. And I thought it would be interesting to look at exhibition posters as a meme template and adapt memes into this format and replace the ones that are already on display. So they kind of insert themselves into a physical space by adapting into it and like mimicking the visual aesthetics of the space. But beyond that, they include messages that you wouldn't usually hear from a museum, like some artworks look the same is not a statement that any institution would want to make. For me, the important aspect is that they kind of interfere with the programming of a museum, and they're kind of like inserting themselves into space in a more like a parasitic way. And they're also quite ephemeral. They're just posters and not so untouchable as a quote-unquote real artwork. Beyond that, I kind of imagine that it creates like a blind spot in the institution's mind that I could just use to directly speak with the audience and kind of make these statements that subvert the role of the institution. You could say that it's almost like a paradoxical situation where it is possible to argue that memes already get enough attention and enough recognition as themselves, that thousands of people look at memes online every day and they're already seen way more than any artwork or any meme account could really rival the visitorship of a museum. But you could also say that memes deserve to be recognized in an artistic context, and they deserve to be seen that way too. And how I deal with this is to create not representations of memes in physical spaces, but extensions of them. People often use methods such as like printing a meme on canvas or making a painting of a meme to exhibit it in a physical space, which I disagree with because I think that places the physical space above the digital space and somehow try to make the meme reach the level of physical art, which I don't think is fair, and it also ignores the semantics of memes and how people interact with them. But it is possible to create extensions of memes in physical spaces that give more credit to memes and recognize meme culture in an artistic context. For me, meme making is like analogous with making art, but it's also different. I think in that way, you could say that every meme is sort of like a sketch. It makes it very difficult to like perfectly finish a meme. I don't think that's really possible, and I don't think it's necessary. It's more of a sketch of an idea. And in that way, it's also sort of like keeping a journal, and obviously it kind of reflects my thinking in that day, or like maybe conversations I had or things that I've read, that they obviously find their way into the memes. And I feel the same about making these objects too, that these are sort of artworks, or like you could say sketches of artworks that I produced. So this is sort of like a typical German street sign, and I use liminal spaces as a phrase a lot in memes because of how often it's also used in art texts. I think there are like certain keywords that are revisited a lot, and I think again they have some like mimetic qualities. Like I feel the same about Gesamtkunstwerk, for instance, that is also sort of like a meme that no one is also like 100% sure about what it means. I find that quite funny. I feel the same about liminal too, that people like to use the word liminal a lot, but I think at least in some cases people don't really know what it means, or they kind of misuse it, and it just sounds profound when you use it in an art context. So I thought it would be funny to make a reference that combines that with its street name. And yeah, this is another silly joke, more of a study. I made a meme series that had the same phrase, which was the male urge to take credit for others' work, the male urge to make flags as art, for instance. And I thought it would be interesting to print that phrase on a flag. One other phrase I'm really drawn to is this one, which says, "It's you, you're the meme," which makes me quite like self-conscious. And I really like this as a meme template too. There are many versions of it where the text is inverted like in this mirror, and there is like sort of like an awkward picture, and you are like kind of captured inside the meme. And it was again like sort of like a study to see what that would look like or feel like to like place it on a mirror. Now we consume so much information through our phones that it almost looks like it's already been digested, and you just kind of consume this information, especially when it comes to news. But actually memes kind of create a space where you have to interact with a meme and kind of question it and spend time thinking about it and have this back and forth. And I think that's an important role that memes can play in creating like a more democratic space. And I feel the same in art institutions too. I think memes can be used in a way that kind of activates the critical role of the audiences as well.